Let's go to the Mattress Warehouse Hotline and welcome onto the program our buddy Clinton Portis, who, of course, was one of the great Redskins of the 2000s, almost single-handedly carrying the team to the playoffs in 2005 and 2007. CP, it's good to have you back on the show, man. How are you?
You good, man? What's going on?
Not much. So, originally when I'd hit you up to come on this week, I had seen that you were taking part in being active in the community and in a peaceful protest. But the story kind of shifted from a sports standpoint here in terms of what I wanted to get your expertise on. Drew Brees came out yesterday and made a comment that his teammates disagree with, which is that he said that he still is never going to support players taking a knee during the National Anthem. And I'm sure you've seen this, but a lot of the Saints unfollowed him on Twitter, kind of went back at him pretty hard. His jersey was being burned in New Orleans last night. I'm just curious, if you're in a locker room, and you know this, Clinton, not everyone agrees on politics or on what's going on in the world. Like, what would it be like to be one of those Saints right now? And if you were one of the players on his team, what would you be doing right now?
Well, I think it's a tough situation for Drew, as you all know. Being in the locker room, you have people that have that belief. You don't really discuss politics and racism and religion within the locker room. You don't really discuss finances. People always talk about, hey, this locker room and these guys are so close. And it's like you never really know your teammate, because Drew Brees gets so much love from all communities. And the work he puts in the community is always highlighted. To go and carry a city like New Orleans that's really predominantly black, where all people get along. You think about New Orleans. That's one place where everyone has the same goal in mind, and that's to get wasted, to have a good time, and make it back home safely. And you think of a city, when you're talking about a city that come together, it's New Orleans, and they come together for numerous events, music, festivals, alcohol, just things that all people have in common, like-minded people. And then when you see a leader of the community, such as Drew Brees, go out and make this conversation, it kind of sets you back, because you still don't even understand it. You're in the locker room, and you know why guys are kneeling, and you've known why guys are kneeling from the start. So for this message to become lost in translation, as most messages do, as they're trying to lose this one, to loot, and not making it about George Floyd. All of a sudden it's about looters and everything else, when this world was built that way. In the understanding of the flag is no disrespect to the flag, is no disrespect to the people that fought, it's no disrespect to the people that protect us. It's all about the inner city and the communities that are at a disadvantage due to profiling. And I would think Drew Brees would know that. So for the slack that he's getting from his teammates, I listened to Malcolm Jenkins, and I listened to Michael Thomas, and I saw Alvin Kamara. I think it's deserved, because you have so many guys, especially with Malcolm Jenkins formerly being in the Saints and going back. You have so many guys that stand up and that voice their opinion on these matters, that you can converse with, that you can lean on, that you could talk to. And you chose not to. You chose to go out and make a statement, and it was nowhere near. There's nothing about the flag. What's going on is we've lost 3 people in the last month or in the last 2 months since COVID. Since the stop of, the freedom of COVID, all of a sudden you get 3 African Americans that lose their lives to profiling, basically. So, it's one of those situations where he came out and made a comment, and I think his teammates were right for calling him out and holding him accountable, because you would want to hold your teammates accountable in any other situation or action.
Clinton Portis is with us here on Grant and Danny. Obviously, this is a different time. This is a unique moment in history, I would say. But did you have anything similar when you were in Washington playing? Did you have a teammate that you disagreed vehemently about something, and kind of how did you guys approach that, and how did you get over it?
I think there's plenty of teammates that you disagree with. And as for me, I was always the one to be a man about it. If you go back and you look at anything that might have started a firestorm surrounding me, it was me being uncut and clear about what really happened. Calling out and not speaking behind someone's back. At that time, I think we had a lot of people that was anonymous. There was so many anonymous conversations being had. So it makes you uncomfortable in a locker room. When it's always anonymous. Someone has a problem with you, but as a man, won't come and address it. They would rather address it to the media. So for me in those situations, I'm going to address my teammate. I'm going to address whoever the person is I have an issue with, and I don't have a problem with saying who that person is to them. And if it ever gets to the media, it's because I've attempted or we've attempted to have this conversation, and it wasn't handled properly.
CP, what if you were on the Saints right now? I mean, if they had to play a game today, I don't even know how that would work. I mean, it just seems like those guys are so mad at Brees. And look, this is a guy, I don't know what your relationship is. You can educate me on how well you know him. But, I mean, he has an image like squeaky clean like Mr. Rogers. I mean, he's done a lot of good for a long, long time as a role model. And you would think a lot of his teammates have always thought highly of him. Malcolm said as much in his video that he put on social media yesterday. I mean, how do they come together now in that locker room? Can you not be friends with someone who has this dissenting opinion? Is that where we're at as a country? Like, how is this going to work for the Saints, do you think?
Well, I think it works because you have time, and time heals all. At some point, the frustration or the anger, you release that and you get over that. But right now, if you had a game tomorrow, I think it would be tough to go out and play. I think it would be a team divided. I think it would be obvious of the division, and it would be too much scrutiny around it for you to go out and give your all to someone with those beliefs. When you're fighting on the field as teammates, nothing else matters. That's what it's about. It's about winning the game. But when you have this frustration or this acknowledgement that I don't really think you're here for me, or I don't really think you believe in what I stand for, then it becomes confusing, and that's going to divide the team. You know what I mean? And I think they can overcome it. I think they will overcome it because sports is a release for everybody. Once you get back on the field and you start running around and guys start joking and talking again, then I think that'll help. For Drew to come out and try to apologize ASAP and say, he was inconsiderate and all of that. I think guys in due time, when this blows over, goes back to seeing the good in Drew Brees. I just think it was horrible timing for his comment because what he is on the field and what he stood for off the field to this point for everyone has been, as you said, squeaky clean and idealistic. That's the type of leader you want. That's the type of individual you want. And all of a sudden these comments come out and it's like, hey, I don't want his jersey anymore. He's no longer my favorite player. The Saints have been my favorite team all my life. I don't know if I can go cheer for them as I cheer for them. When Drew Brees broke the record against the Redskins, I was cheering in the box with Dan. I'm looking at Dan like, I can't hold this in. This is my team. This is someone I love. So for me, it's just one of those, like this is, and it's hard for a man to idolize another man in the first place because you never know what people are doing off the field, what they do on the field. And I think that's what makes LeBron James' character so great. I think that's what makes Steph Curry character so great. And Peyton Manning, when you look at a lot of these guys that come out from the start and they're always involved in the community, always coming, always carrying, and then you have a guy as Drew Brees who you look at on that same level, and then this happens.
Clinton, what did you make of Drew's apology after he received a lot of backlash for his comments?
Well, I mean, I don't think the backlash is over, and you come out and you apologize, but in reality, you said how you spoke your truth. That's how you really feel. It's like an argument with someone you love, and if they say, "Hey, your breath stinks," that they believe your breath stinks. It's no, I apologize for saying that. That's honestly how you feel. So when you hear how someone feels, you have to believe them. It's hard to look at that any different, So I think this is one of those situations that you come out and apologize, but in all reality, hey, that's how you feel. That's who you are. That's what you believe. And despite having 4 years in the locker room and being in New Orleans and being in a city that's predominantly black, when you go to the tailgates, when you go to New Orleans, when you see black people, you encounter those people. You see the issues within the community. So I just think it's really tough to overcome. If he was playing up north and somewhere, and then you see Aaron Rodgers come out and make a statement. Aaron Rodgers come out instantly and make a statement about Drew Brees. And it all of a sudden, the respect level, not that I didn't respect Aaron Rodgers, the first thing I thought last night, well, hell, this is probably going to be my new favorite quarterback now that Drew Brees isn't anymore, So this is one of those situations, man. You hate that it happened. I hate that it happened to Drew Brees, but that's how Drew Brees feels. He spoke his truth, and I have to accept his truth. And whether I cheer for Drew again and I look at the Saints and watch them again, hey, in time, time shall probably heal and it'll pass over. But in reality, will I ever forget or will I ever understand? No, I won't.
Clinton Portis on Grant and Danny. Even Aaron Rodgers, by the way, was taking heat because he didn't say something sooner, and where was he 3 years ago? So there's not a lot right now of I don't know that anybody can say or do the right thing necessarily, but clearly, as we found out yesterday, that there is a line that you're either on or you're not, and Drew Brees was on the wrong side of it with his comments. Clinton, your information was great. I actually wanted to get you on just to talk about taking part in those peaceful protests, but with what happened, this became the story to ask you about. But if you continue to do that, stay safe, and hopefully everything's going well. Are you in the Charlotte area right now?
Yeah, I'm down in North Carolina. And if you know what, it's a great, Billie Eilish had probably the greatest statement that I've seen from anyone to
CP,
this
can I cut you off real quick? Is it possible? Can you come back with us? We got to take a break. Can you come back with us for one more segment?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that because this is good. I don't want to be succinct when we don't have to be. So let's keep Clinton. We'll bring him back in a minute. I want to hear what he said Billie Eilish said. Grant and Danny on the Fan. We're just talking to him about what it's going to be like in the locker room for the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees yesterday coming out and saying he's still not going to agree with his teammates, players around the NFL, taking a knee during the National Anthem. He thinks it's disrespectful to the flag. Obviously, his teammates very upset with that, saying that them taking a knee during the anthem has nothing to do with the flag and that he's not hearing them. And so, they are at odds at this point. We wanted to get Clinton on to just talk about the locker room dynamic and not being able to get on the same page with your teammates. And he joins us on the Mattress Warehouse Hotline. He's sticking with us. So let's pick up where you left off. I cut you off and I apologize, but you were about to say something that you heard that you liked during all this.
Well, I texted to you during the break, and it was a statement from Billie Eilish. And as a young female, for her to have that perspective and understanding, it makes it hard to understand how a lot of people can't see it. When a young female under 21 could see the perspective and get the understanding, and you can't. And it's kind of a long statement, so I texted to you. You can put up on your page and share it with everyone if you like. But I think that perspective, if people would just listen, everyone tries to change the narrative to make it about them when it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about the Floyd family, the Aubrey family, the Breonna Taylor family, about the people that's dealing with this. We overlook it because every day, if it doesn't affect us, we don't really care. If it has an indirect, if it doesn't have a direct effect to us, it doesn't matter. Like, we're becoming numb as a society because we don't care. You don't know your neighbor. You don't know anything that's going on. You don't talk to people. We don't communicate. When you leave work, you go home or you go to hang with your homeboys at the bar. It's no communication. You don't go to the cookout. You don't go hang out. You don't go help your neighbor put his motor in anymore. You don't go paint the walls in someone else's house. You just don't. You don't share that same growth that people had back in the day when things mattered, when you knew what was going on in other people's households, when you actually cared about people. We don't care, and we continuously try to pretend as if we care, but the only thing we do is RIP, or we're going to miss this person, and you give everybody their roses once they're gone. But when they're dealing with shit, no one says anything. You know, it's always, well, I wouldn't have done that, or that was a dumb decision, or whatever. But you don't know what's going on with your neighbor. Our communication sucks. Our love for one another sucks. Our appreciation for one another sucks. And what we need to do is hold each other accountable. If you see me doing wrong, say, CP, you know what? That's not you. Don't do that. Or if I see you doing wrong, I need to say, Grant, dang, nah, bro, don't say that. You know, if I've had an issue, I've shared that issue with you. And, hey, we talk about it, and it's over and done with. You know what I mean? But we can get understanding. We can get respect for one another. But everyone, all these people that stay silent, that don't say anything, that point fingers and have all this closet shit going on, are the people that really don't understand what's going on, because once it comes to light, it's too late.
Clinton, here's where I've struggled, and no one should care about my struggle. There's way bigger stuff going on, but I'm trying to listen, and I feel like anything I say is inadequate. And how do I speak up but also listen at the same time?
Well, you speak up for what you believe in. You speak up when it's heartfelt. You know, it's a struggle or a toggle in between when it's not heartfelt. You're just trying to come up with a message because that's the right thing to do. Speak up when it's on your heart. If you're in the middle of a conversation about something and this hits me, then that's when you speak up. That's when you share it with the world. That's when you say, hey, this is how I feel. Don't holler, I got black friends and I got some black homeboys and I talk to black athletes every day. That's not doing shit for us.
Hey, CP, real quick, I got to tell you, we can't say S on the radio, so we got to hit a dump button when you say it. So it takes away a handful of seconds, and what you're saying, I think, is profound and important. So
Agreed.
Just give me a crap, and then we can get all – people aren't going to be able to hear it because it's got to get dumped from the FCC. So just an FYI. But keep going, sorry.
I mean, that's not doing crap. So you put it in when it's heartfelt, when it's on your heart and it's right and that's your truth. Then that's when you share it. You don't have to come up with a statement just because all of this is going on. And, hey, Danny, I want to get something in. I want to say something to make my friends feel good. No, that's not when you say it, because your friends are going to look at you like, what is he talking about? Like, that's not Danny. That's not the person I know. That's not Grant. That's not the person I know. Say it when it's heartfelt. Say it when it's true. Say it when it's something you stand by. Say it when it's something that you believe in. Say it when it's something that you're ready to take action for.
And we got a couple of minutes left. I want to get to this because we've got a couple tweets on this, and I want to give you an opportunity to answer to this. So Drew Brees, obviously, as I've said all day, this is a human being who has lived his life like I think we want our kids to live our lives largely. You know, as a good man who believes in the golden rule. His opinion is one right now that does not mesh with what we're trying to do as a country, obviously. But a lot of people are saying Drew Brees is not against maybe the Black Lives Matter movement, or Drew Brees is not against, racial equality. He just happens to have an opinion on, during the anthem, the flag than other people. I'm not endorsing it. I'm asking you, though, your thoughts on, if someone says, Drew Brees has done a lot for inner city New Orleans, as you pointed out. He probably would love to get involved and march arm in arm with his teammates down the street. He just thinks that the national anthem is more about the flag, it sounds like. What do you say to that?
Well, I say that's ignorance, because you've been in the locker room for 4 years. You've seen Cap get blackballed. You've heard other teammates. You've heard the conversation within the locker room of why this was actually going on. It was never about the flag. The flag was a deterrent to what was really going on. It was about the injustice in the community, and that's where we still are. It was never about the flag. It was never about the military. It was never about the people who fought for this country that gave us our freedom to go on and move about our lives in the daily manner that we do. It's always been about the injustice in black communities. And now all of a sudden this injustice is coming to light. It's been happening since Rodney King got his butt kicked. It was happening before then. Martin Luther King marched peacefully and ended up with a bullet in his head. Malcolm X, he was peaceful, ended up with a bullet in him. So you're talking about being peaceful, and you have some, which we've all seen, that the looters and the rioters and some of these people that's been put in place, you haven't seen any black people pull up in a truck with bricks. You haven't seen any African Americans go and rob a jewelry store. Come on, man. These $3-4 million heists and people getting away scot clean. Do you really think that's the black African American community that's doing that? Are you kidding me? We've seen people spray painting their own business. Police in here telling them, hey, put George Floyd name up there as well. Some people are taking advantage of this situation. Now, hey, is this some bad apples? Yes. Is it some bad apples in there as well? Some people are taking advantage of this situation. Now, hey, is this some bad apples? Yes. Is it some bad apples in the police station? Yes. Everyone is not the same. But when you go to a traffic stop, if I run a stop sign, why are you pulling your gun on me? I just ran a stop sign. If I'm arguing in Waffle House, why are you tasing me? If I'm out past curfew, why are you busting my window? This is the understanding that we're trying to get to, because the crime wasn't that serious for us to even be in this situation. You've already made this situation bigger than it should have been by the way you approached me. You running side by side because I ran the red light. Give me a ticket and send me about my day. Don't put no gun in my face. If I ran the red light, obviously I'm in a rush to get home or get somewhere because someone is dependent or counting on me. So what you sticking a gun in my face for?
We got to leave it there, buddy. We're up against it, man. Really appreciate you sticking with us and all the insight. Powerful stuff. Really appreciate it, Clinton. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks for your perspective. There's Clinton Portis on Grant and Danny. Look, the locker room in New Orleans right now, they're trying to sort this out. They're having a team meeting, I'm guessing, virtually today to try to get on the same page. And CP's been in the locker room, and he knows what it's going to be like now trying to get all those players to march to one beat.